of the Cavs. This show has not been shy of its criticism, as others, of Atkinson, not only for his team's performance in getting swept by the Knicks, but also some of the comments that he made during the series. Of course, you'll remember he said that analytically this team was up on the New York Knicks, but reality shows you they lost in 4 games. This news comes 24 hours after Cleveland is eliminated, and they no-showed once again. So, Wilbon, did they make the right call in retaining Atkinson?
Wow. I don't know about right call, Courtney. It's not a call that I would make. I don't see running it back with Kenny Atkinson and probably not James Harden. I don't see that as something. How ambitious is Cleveland? Well, my question about the Cavaliers all year long was, why aren't they better? Once they got Harden, and they were better. There was an immediate bump with James. And I thought, okay, this could be his last best chance at winning. But the combination of this, what we saw last week, and I know it's hard to take an entire season, a fairly successful season, and distill it into like sound bites and decisions from 1 week. But man, given that Kenny Atkinson failed his team in game 1, which they didn't get, and it changed that series. It doomed his team in that series. And then this analytics comment, do I want that? There are some other cities and owners and places that would not tolerate that, would not have that. He's been a good coach. We're not even arguing that. What is Cleveland going to do? We criticized the Knicks when they fired Tibbs, right? And they bring in Mike Brown, and there seems to be a little bit of a difference because there's incredible ambition, maybe overly so. Cleveland, is that all there is? That's my question.
Yeah, listen, I think you got to keep him. He had a rough series. They weren't going to beat the Knicks even if they won game 1. Mosley should have. No, I have no problem with Mosley getting fired. He's been there for 5 years. He's got a 24-point lead in the third quarter of game 6 at home. You don't win the game, you got to go. I have no problem with that. People think he got a harsh deal. He was there for 5 years. So Atkinson's only been there for 2. And the Knicks were better than Cleveland. It wasn't like they underachieved. They were a better team.
Didn't this week destroy?
Well, it was a bad week, and it killed his reputation. He can't do this again next year.
No.
But I don't know how Stevie feels about it. I'm going to be a little more lenient. I'm going to say, you know what? Young coach, big spot. It wasn't all his fault. Knicks were better. Harden killed us. I'll live with it another year. That's the way I would have handled it, so I'm not surprised. Stevie?
I think this was a disastrous move on the Cleveland Cavaliers' part. Disastrous. Let me explain why. Number one, if you're going to make this decision, considering the comedy of errors we saw from him as a coach during the conference finals, must you make it a couple of days after the New York Knicks swept you? I mean, don't you want to give the impression at the very least, Wilbon and Doggy, that, you know what, we've given this some serious thought, as opposed to sitting back and saying, you know what, we want to validate, our decisions and we want to stay the course and stick with it. Stick with what? Stick with what? Listen, nobody here is going to tell you that Kenny Atkinson is not a good coach. He won 64 games last year. 12 less this year at 52, but damn it, that's still 64-win season and a 52-win season. And last year he got bounced out in the first round. This year he went to the conference finals. We get all of that. But when you see what you saw, him blowing game 1, him talking that nonsense about analytics, well, let's take those 2 things and compartmentalize those 2 things. Number one, the Knicks go on an 18-0 run and you don't call a single timeout. In the post-game conference, when you got 4 timeouts, you're sitting up there talking about you didn't want to run out of timeouts when you know they take 2 away from you in the final 2 minutes of regulation. Apparently, you forgot that rule. When you sit up there and you're talking and you just seem to be clueless and seem to be distant and you don't appear to have the pulse of your team, that's egregious. When you go to the analytics part and talk about, well, you know what, if you look at the first 3 games, we really won 2 of them. When you consider that from the analytical perspective, even though he was answering a reporter's question, that is just an egregious and asinine thing to come out of the mouth of a head coach who's down 3-0 in a series. Clearly, you weren't worried about your ownership. Clearly, you weren't worried about your bosses, because I'd be scared to say something that damn ignorant, okay? That's number 2. Number 3, the analytical stuff and the way that it has stained the career of Daryl Morey, who did the same thing in Houston, which is why he was pushed up out of there, okay? You got the residue of all of that. But here's the biggest thing. Wilbon, you'll appreciate this. Y'all remember when the Miami Heat won the championship in 2006? Stan Van Gundy was the head coach of the team during the season. It was Pat Riley who made that move in the middle of the season and was like, Stan's got to go. I'm going to take over now. And that's not to cast any aspersions on Stan Van Gundy, who's a hell of a coach. The point was the pulse of the players mattered. And Pat Riley knew something was missing. Whether it was because of D. Wade, Shaq, Zoe, the combination of all the three or whatever, Pat Riley knew that Pat Riley had to step in and fix what was psychologically, emotionally, and mentally broken. And the Miami Heat went on to win the championship that season, coming back from an 0-2 deficit and winning 4 straight behind the marvelous Dwayne Wade, averaging 37 over the last 4 games. The point was the team appeared a bit demoralized. They didn't have it, and Pat Riley knew that. Look at this Cleveland squad. Look at how they gave up. Look at how the fight was just stripped from them. You could say they got punked. You could say they gave up. You could point to the 2 Game 7s in the first round against Toronto and the second round against Detroit all you want to. But they didn't appear to be a team. They came apart at the seams. And that's what you walking into the offseason with and asking Cleveland fans immediately after a sweep to look forward to for next season? If I'm a season ticket holder, how excited am I about that? Sure, I want to take the kids to the game, let the kids enjoy it or whatever. But in terms of being excited about the future of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Kenny Atkinson is giving you nothing to be excited about. James Harden is giving you nothing to be excited about. Donovan Mitchell is probably contemplating whether or not that's a place he wants to be at. And LeBron James probably was looking at it and saying, man, forget about taking my ass back there. I'm going to stay right where I'm at. Why would I want to think about that? These are the kind of things that we have to think about when we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Under those circumstances, you do not keep the coach. Oh. I'm not telling you that Atkinson can't coach. I'm telling you that part of coaching is being leaders, a leader of men, and being able to strip from them all that they've got. Steve Kerr has proven he could do that. Greg Popovich has proven he could do that. Several coaches, Mark Daigneault has proven he could do that. Several coaches have proven they could do that. One of them is not Kenny Atkinson. I am sorry. There is no way I would have made this decision, especially at this time, to keep that man on as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well, 2 things, Steve. First off, Pat Riley is not out there. I mean, so when they brought Pat Riley in, they had won 4 titles. Yeah. The Pat Riley is not out there in the NBA circles, so who are they going to replace him with? And you can say it doesn't mean anything.
It's not hard to replace him.
Well, I mean, but you want a great coach.
Not hard to replace him. That's my point.
What great coach you getting? There's no great who's out there? Who's coaching? Who's coaching?
No, what I'm saying to you is that you're not replacing greatness. So can you find another very good coach that might be able to have a better pulse of the team? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Now, if you read the quotes after last night, Mitchell and Harden,
they backed him.
Oh my God, did they back him? But Mitchell went out of his way to say how
Chris,
great a coach
is. That's why I wonder about that franchise's ambition. And by the way, Kobe Altman has made some terrific decisions along the way.
Yes, he has.
He really has. And so that gives me a little bit of pause. I'm like, okay, this executive has a track record, and Stephen A., I think he does have his finger on the pulse. But man, ultimately, I don't know that I can run it back with what I just saw. Doggy, I don't know if I can.
It's going to be hard. I mean, this is the most expensive roster in the NBA. They don't have an NBA Finals appearance to show for it. And it only gets more expensive when they're now in second apron territory. But we've got to leave this one here. We'll get back into this in just a little bit because coming up next, there's something about Jalen Brunson that might keep him from winning a title. One basketball Hall of Famer says yes. What was said, and is she right? That's coming up next. And Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama